from the audience perspective. For a bowl this size, I can probably move the tool rest a little closer. For this size bowl, I just use a pair of calipers to measure the wall thickness. I bet I can go up on the speed a little bit. Remember there was a spot on here that was still bark left on there? So it's entirely possible by the time I get to my desired thickness, it'll go through, which is fine. I love it that way. If it doesn't fall apart on me, that is. And with this cut, you may or may not have noticed, I can cut both going in and coming back out. What time is it now? How are we doing? Okay. It's such a slow process. I probably won't get to the thickness I like. If I don't get to the wall thickness or thinness where I like it, I'm going to part it off, because I like to show you how I finish my bottom. I don't know if you guys use Forstner bids or not. They have a point. So when you use that bid, you have an opposite problem to what you normally have. Remember, when you get to the bottom, the center doesn't rotate. You end up with a little nub there. Well, actually you have a little bit dip there, a little dimple there. And it's hard to see. Let me get my caliper. This is set at about ½ inch right now. Yeah, it's still way thicker than I like. Can you see this shaving here? Let me see if I move it. This is the kind of shaving you get with this tool. So you know you're not really just scraping. You get shavings out of it. Ah. I should blow all the dust out.
How do you sharpen
Once you
that
got
stick?
dust built up in there, the shavings get caught between the walls and the cutter. Then it won't cut. One drawback with Zoom demo is you can't come up and feel. I wish you could, because the inside is very, very smooth. You don't even need sanding. I just did this part and it was really shaving nicely. Are we using this camera right now? The tail stop. And when you get close, you want to check peer out more often. Yes. Not bad. Quite a ways to go yet. We're almost reaching the limit to the reach of this cutter. We have indeed. I probably should have cut this opening a little bit bigger. It can reach in just about an inch. You don't sharpen it. You can't. You can't sharpen it to the same sharpness. There's no way you can do it. Unfortunately, they're not cheap. They're like about 25 bucks a piece. I messed up the top a little bit here. I'm gonna clean it up. Yeah, you know, the easy wood tools, flat ones, and cabinetties. You can actually do some shear scraping too, but not as efficiently as this one here. I think I'm going to actually switch tool at this point. Remember I told you there's a little dimple in the bottom there? I have a way of getting rid of it. Now this is much thicker than I desire, but I can't reach inside with this tool anymore. I could at this point reduce the size a little bit so the walls will be thinner, but I'm not going to do that. So I have this tool here, which still uses the same cutter. It still uses the same cutter. But it's mounted on this shaft here, which is nothing more than a 1/2 inch cold roll steel. I have a hole drilled in there, and I made this piece a holder here, and tap threads in here so I can rotate this piece to any angle I want. Okay, I can do it at a safe angle, and right now it's actually set up for, you know, probably not many people do reverse turning. In other words, reverse the rotation on your lathe. And I'm not going to do that tonight because on this chuck I don't have a safety measure. In other words, I don't have a screw to lock this in place. So I'm going to have to change this to the other side. Bear with me for a minute. I'm going to have to get the get my Allen wrench out. I do reverse turning a lot because I have better control. When you do forward turning, you hold your tool. When you do this part, sometimes you have to hold your tool way out there. Well, you know, one of the first things you learn is you want to tuck your tool close to you, right? You dance with it, right? So, so it's much better to do it with reverse cutting. And also an additional advantage is you can actually see where you're cutting. But since this thing doesn't have a safety lock on it, I'm not going to do it that way. Actually, I don't know if it would help. You pretty can't see the inside here. So I got this cutter. Maybe we should switch to this camera again. I got this cutter set at about 20 degree or 30 degree angle. Can you see that? It's about 30 degrees from this plane. And so I'm still shearing at the tip here, and it cuts very nicely. Let's see, let me show you some shavings here. Let's switch to the overhead camera. So you actually get shavings, nice shavings out of it, not just dust. And if you could come up here, you would be able to feel the bottom is very smooth. And you can actually start cutting the walls where it's very close to the bottom. I could move a little bit too far. I could move the tool rest in a little bit. You see the shavings? Nice shavings. Yes. Now I actually got a dreaded nub in the bottom, so I'm trying to get rid of it. And I'm actually cutting it right at this point right here now. Making real nice shavings. You hear that noise? That's because I got too aggressive, trying to cut too much in one pass. So right now it's about 3/8 of an inch. I would like to get it to a 1/4 of an inch or slightly thinner, but I probably won't get there. I don't want to keep you here all night. Yeah, mesquite cuts very nicely too. Another one that I like is actually ash, but ash could be finicky. Ash is a little bit harder to put a good finishing on, and ash is extremely porous, and it's harder to sand without ending up with a lot of scratches. It's not too shabby. I think I'm going to call it good because I want to show you how I do the bottom. And the outside is good. I think you probably don't even have to start with very coarse sandpaper. Unfortunately, I don't. This tool can't cut deep enough so that I could actually expose some of this space here where the bark is. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to part it off now. I use a thin curve parting tool, and I like this design better because it's got a support here, and this is a D-way tool, and Steve uses a different what's the brand? Carter. Yeah, they're very similar in design. I started using this type of parting tool. It was Ashley Isles, but they quit doing it. So I had to find a second supplier, and this one seems to work real well. So, what's a good angle? Well, this is it. And so how do I do the bottom? I don't know if anybody here does it this way, but I use the expansion mode on this chuck. Ooh, perfect. Of course, the key is how much tension, how much pressure you put on this. And I have not yet cracked one. Probably Murphy's Law, by Murphy's Law, I'll crack one tonight. I can still use my bow gouge for this. Some of you saw my latest segmented bowl, almost 12 inches diameter, 9 inches tall, with an opening about 7 inches. I finished the bottom the same way. Of course, you don't have a chuck that will open up the jaws that wide, so I use a kind of like a jumbo jaw, co-jaw type of thing, and that was my about 3 months worth of work. But I didn't have any problem with it. Finished it just perfectly. Usually I would take a straight edge and make sure the bottom is more or less flat. Yeah, that's not bad. All right, I think I'm gonna stop while I'm still ahead, right? So any questions? Any question on this last step? How many people do this kind of use this kind of method for finishing the bottom? Anybody?
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times.
I think I'm gonna just
Andy.
leave this here.
Yeah, I do that quite a bit.
You can pass it around next time you get to meet each other physically. All right. Well, thank you very much for your attention. I enjoyed it. Hope you
Well,
enjoyed
thank you a lot,
it. I hope
Andy.
you learned a few things.
Thanks, Andy.
Very much.
Yeah.
Thank
thanks.
you, Andy.
It's been great having you up here this weekend and for our demo tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it thoroughly.